Thank you for joining us today for our third quarter 2024 earnings call. And we'd like to take a second to answer some of the questions that we fielded from all of you on Twitter. So the first question we had was from Hyliion at Hyliion Air. What is the biggest technical roadblock the Hyliion team has had in designing, developing, manufacturing the KARNO? Has Hyliion fully overcame it? And are there any new challenges your team is facing? So I want to first just share a little bit of the background of the design of this genset. So we took the same approach that GE would take on designing an aircraft engine. This team that we have working on it, most of them came out of GE. And that means you do everything in modeling and simulation first, right? A lot of companies try to go build a prototype, try it, test it, break it, and then go improve it. Our team really started all in simulation, figuring out how do we design this the best possible to get the best efficiencies. And then one of the final steps is you actually go build it. And so we inevitably had learnings when we went through building. We had things like shaft alignment issues, bearing wear and tear. We had changes we needed to make in the linear electric motor. That was one of the big efforts we undertook over the last year. Was we actually in-house designed the linear electric motor, and the beta unit now has that system incorporated in it. So there are still things we're going through, a lot on the software bring up validation side of things, but all is pointing well. That keeps us on track to be able to get initial units out there by the end of this year. The next question for Jon is from Rusty the Kid. Of the 3D printers currently under development, which make model might you consider to incorporate into your Austin assembly line? Could you provide an estimate on when such 3D printers might become available, and what percentage production rate increase is anticipated?
Yeah, great question. So we actually have 3 different models of printers that we're putting in our facility here in Austin, and they're different generations. Think of each one being the successor to the previous generation. And another way to think about them is each generation is probably 2 to 3 times faster, roughly, and that depends on different things like laser power and the software code that dictates how the lasers move across the build plate. So we're actually going to have all 3 here in Austin. We have 2 of the 3 versions today, and we're going to be taking delivery of the latest Calibrium machine here in the coming weeks, and that's we also have a lot of those on order for next year. So we're keeping up with the technology, and we expect the throughput of these machines that we do have, all of them, to continue to grow over time. Great.
Next question is from Matthew Persley, which is, do you expect the deregulations promised by the forthcoming Trump administration to adversely affect interest in tackling issues such as electrical generation and gas flaring? So I think overall, as we look at kind of our technology, how it fits with this incoming administration, we see a lot of our customers are going to be running on natural gas. That's the prime fuel source that we're seeing. I think there's been a lot of positive discussion around using natural gas in with the incoming administration. But what customers are really focused on is, what's my payback on the system? What's the ROI? That's what's really going to drive adoption. And when you look at aspects like flare gas or methane coming off of landfills, they basically have a free fuel, right? You have gas that you would have otherwise just wasted. And if you now run that through a KARNO generator, you can produce a positive byproduct of electricity that you can use. And so, I don't think regulation changes will have all that much of an effect on that, because the end customer is still going to want to try to produce a positive byproduct as opposed to just wasting that fuel. Another question that kind of comes with the administration change here for Jon from Silent Alert is, with the change in administration and the lack of EV incentives provided by the federal government, is there a possibility that the 40% incentive that linear generators is receiving is going to be removed from IRA?
Okay, so first maybe a little bit of background on the existing IRA agreement. It includes tax credit somewhere between 30 and 40% for purchasers of linear generator systems, and they can be running on any type of fuel. Starting in 2025, under the existing IRA legislation, that qualification will only continue to apply for applications that burn renewable fuels like renewable natural gas and hydrogen. That being said, there is an effort underway to modify the IRA legislation such that the linear generators of all kinds will continue to qualify for that tax credit regardless of the fuel that they burn. So that's one of the questions in the incoming administration in the new legislative year, is what's going to happen with existing IRA legislation, and second is, will there be any changes to the IRA overall? So we're somewhat optimistic because there is a tax bill that's going to have to be debated next year to extend or not to extend the Trump-era tax credits, and we believe that this will be a topic that's taken up as part of that conversation.
And then to close things out, we've got a couple of product-related questions. So one from Maestro, which is, what are the company's plans to downsize the Carno generator to address the vehicle market for all trucks? So this 200 kilowatt system that we're commercializing right now, this was actually designed to go on a semi-truck initially, so it really is the right size genset for commercial vehicles. But we have put on our roadmap doing a smaller genset. This would be, we anticipate, somewhere in the tune of the 25 kilowatt sort of a range. That's really the ideal size for like a household. So we do have that on the future roadmap. But what we highlighted in today's earnings call is actually going the other direction, actually scaling things up, focusing on commercial applications such as data centers. That's the real big driver for this, and doing a 2 megawatt enclosure. Now, the interesting thing with the 2 megawatt enclosure is what we're doing is we're taking 10 of the 200 kilowatt generators and linking those together in parallel inside that enclosure, and then combining the balance of plant things like the radiators, the fans, things like that, to make a full 2 megawatt solution. So that's more the path we're focusing on right now, is scaling up, making larger generators, and then in the future we'll explore the scale down. And then the last question here from Rusty the Kid again is the Carno Cloud strictly for real-time one-way parameter visibility regarding the recording and analysis, or does it allow for remote parameter control tweaking by Hyliion or the customer? So it's a two-way communication stream with the generator. So not only are we getting frequent updates of like, how's it performing, what are the power output levels, things like that. We have about 3,000 parameters we're monitoring on the genset. But we can also send information back to the Carno generator, so we can do over-the-air software updates. So let's say as we're going through these early deployments, we have learnings that we want to incorporate into the genset on the software side. That's something that we can just push an over-the-air update. Now, we will take a segment of that information we're garnering off the generator, provide that to the customer so that they can have access and monitor the performance of their generator real time as well. So appreciate all of you tuning in for our third quarter earnings call. A lot of good highlights. I'd say the main ones here were getting the backlog of LOIs so that it exceeds our planned production capacity for 2025. So that was a great milestone to achieve. The other one here is just the growing interest for distributed power generation, specifically coming out of the data center space. We saw great news out of Bloom this morning where they announced a 1 gigawatt or up to 1 gigawatt contract for their fuel cells in the data center space. I think that really just points to there is massive demand for these types of technologies. And then the most exciting thing for us is we're nearing customer deliveries here by end of year. So a lot of exciting things to happen in the coming weeks. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.